Monday, 1 November 2021 MSW embraces November 1 roadmap and milestones that families and friends will be reunited as Aussies start arriving home in time for Christmas, with NSW reaching the November 1st roadmap milestone, and restrictions further eased for the double vaccinated from today. Fully vaccinated residents can travel for holidays and recreation between Greater Sydney and regional MSW. Bookings for hospitality venues are no longer capped, and fully vaccinated travelers from overseas can enter MSW without HIV into quarantine, subject to Commonwealth border restrictions. Premier Dominic Perrotte said November could not start in a more positive way, with families and friends reuniting after so long apart. Today is a day many people have been waiting for, and our high vaccination rates have allowed us to reopen in a safe and considered way, Mr. Perrotte said. Families and friends across MSW can now get together as well. Look forward to welcoming back home Australians who have been overseas trying to get home. The NSW government has removed quarantine requirements and caps for overseas arrivals, who the Commonwealth government recognizes as fully vaccinated with the TGA-approved vaccine. Fully vaccinated travelers already in quarantine will also complete their quarantine requirements on November 1st, even if it is less than 14 days. Overseas travelers who are not fully vaccinated must undergo managed 1 4-day hotel quarantine, and the cap will remain at 210 people per week. Parents of Australian citizens and permanent residents can also travel to Australia from today, with applications made through the Department of Home Affairs Travel Exemption Portal. Deputy Premier Paul Toolo said the easing of travel restrictions between regional MSW and Greater Sydney would provide a huge boost to the state. Today is a great day for regional MSW. I know Sydney-siders are bursting to head to the bush, and we can't wait to welcome them back with open arms, and for families and friends to get the chance to reunite, Mr. Toolo said. Around 82% of the population in regional MSW has now been fully vaccinated. This is an exceptional result, and I want to thank every single person who has rolled up their sleeves so travel can resume and businesses can start to bounce back. Minister for Jobs, Investment, Tourism, and Western Sydney Stuart Ayres said, it was time for Sydney to regain its title as the gateway to the nation, with Australians coming home in time for Christmas, and MSW is again open for business. People can come together in a safe way, whether it be returning home from overseas or getting together for an end-of-year gathering at your favorite venue. Mr. Ayres said more than $530 million has been invested in reviving events across the state and getting tourism back on track as part of the MSW government's COVID-19 economic recovery plan. Health Minister Brad Hazzard said MSW was leading Australia out of the pandemic, with the state close to now reaching the 80% double-dose vaccination rate. The people of MSW can be proud of our vaccination rate, and there's no reason we can't reach 95% double-dose vaccination to help ensure we get on top of this pandemic, Mr. Hazzard said. MSW can be one of the highest vaccinated jurisdictions in the world. NSW residents across the state will still need to comply with COVID-safe check-ins and provide proof of vaccination to staff in most settings.
Good morning, my name is Dr. Jeremy McAnulty from New South Wales Health, and I'm here to give you an update on the COVID numbers in New South Wales for Monday the 1st of November 2021. There were 135 locally acquired cases of COVID reported to 8 o'clock last night in New South Wales. In the same period, there were over 62,000 tests reported. In terms of vaccination, there are now 93.6% of people aged 16 years and over who've received their first dose of COVID vaccine, and 87.7% who are now fully vaccinated. In the 12 to 15-year age group, 79.3% have had their first dose, and 61.8% have had 2 doses. In terms of hospitalisations, there are currently 349 people admitted to hospital in New South Wales. 77 people are in intensive care, and 33 of those require ventilation. Of the people in ICU, 65 are not vaccinated, 5 have received 1 dose of vaccine, and 7 have received 2 doses of vaccine. In terms of deaths, sadly we're reporting the deaths of 4 people, 2 women and 2 men who had been diagnosed with COVID. 2 people, a man in his 70s and a woman aged 101, acquired their infections at the Mercy Place aged care facility in Albury. They were both fully vaccinated and had underlying health conditions. There have now been 5 deaths linked to the outbreak at this facility. A man in his 60s who died at Concord Hospital acquired his infection at Parklea Correctional Centre. He was not vaccinated and had underlying health conditions. A woman in her 60s from South East Sydney died at Prince of Wales Hospital. She was not vaccinated and had underlying health conditions. I'd like to express our sincere sympathies and condolences to the families and loved ones of these people who sadly died. So if you haven't received your COVID vaccine yet and you're eligible, please don't delay. Even if you've had COVID and now have recovered, you should get vaccinated. For fully vaccinated people, from today, New South Wales Health run clinics will offer a booster dose using the Pfizer vaccine to people aged 18 years and over. This booster shot will help maintain high levels of protection in the population against COVID, including the Delta strain. People aged 18 years and older may receive a booster dose at least 6 months after their second COVID vaccine, if they've had one of the vaccines registered in Australia. Now, with fully vaccinated international travellers arriving in the country without quarantine, regional travel returning and other restrictions easing, it's really important that we maintain all those COVID-safe behaviours that we've been using for the last year or so. This means wearing a mask, particularly indoors when required, practising physical distancing, also particularly indoors, maintaining hand hygiene, and always checking in with the service New South Wales service app. And it remains really important that anyone who's got symptoms that might be COVID gets tested right away at one of the many testing clinics that are available across the state. So thanks very much everyone for coming forward to get vaccinated and for maintaining COVID safe behaviours and for getting tested if you've got even the mildest of symptoms.